Hey everybody, welcome to Rooted in Progress. In today's episode, we are honoring the life and legacy of civil rights activist, Baptist minister, the Reverend Jesse Jackson.
Rooted in Progress starts now.
Now it's gonna start.
We'll try that again. Rooted in Progress starts now.
Well, hey, what's up, y'all? Come on into the Rooted in Progress Stream Center. We are live right now on this good Thursday morning. Your favorite hosts, Deanne King and Terrence Middlebrooks. How you doing today, Terrence?
Hey, I'm doing fantastic, Deanne. It's good to be back in the studio.
Yeah.
We had a little time off, had a little break, which is needed at times, you know. So
yeah, because we out here preparing for this Black History Month special.
Yeah, Black History Special that'll air this Saturday at 7 p.m. on WTTA.
Incorrect. It airs at 10:30 p.m.
I'm sorry. Yes. I'm thinking
We're
ahead.
sleep deprived, y'all. It airs at 10:30 p.m.
Yes.
We're gonna talk more about our special really next week.
Yeah.
But we're super excited about that. So last week was ultimately the result of being overworked and trying to get this special out for y'all.
All hands on deck. A true team effort that we were getting ready for. So
Yes.
man,
but
I'm still tired.
Yeah, but a lot has happened too over the last week. I want to say Tuesday morning when I saw the news that Reverend Jesse Jackson had passed, it's something that all of us in the studio were like, whoa.
Yeah, right.
It was, even though I wasn't there during, the 60s and the 70s and 80s to witness all of the work that he has done for us, I know I'm here because of it.
Yeah,
I know
for sure.
This is here
yeah.
because of it. So we are truly grateful for Reverend Jesse Jackson. Where were you when you found out, Terrence?
I get up, usually I get up early in the morning and go to the gym around 4:35. And I think shortly after I woke up around that time was when the news broke.
Yeah.
I got the alert on my phone that he passed away. And my vivid memory of Reverend Jesse Jackson, I always remember when he announced his presidency campaign, back in 84 and 88. And I was a young kid at the time. I still understood the impact and how significant it was for a black man to run for president, even in the mid to late 80s. So,
huge.
Yeah.
And someone who was right there alongside him was a former state senator, Arthenia Joyner. I had the honor and pleasure to talk with her yesterday about the decades of work that she did alongside Reverend Jackson. Take a listen.
I was a young lawyer in 1971.
Fresh out of graduating from Florida A&M University College of Law, former state senator Arthenia Joyner had already participated in civil rights demonstrations in Tallahassee and Tampa. Her young yet ambitious mindset led her to Washington, D.C. for the Black Caucus Annual Legislative Conference.
And I said, well, there's Jesse Jackson, so let's go up and talk to him.
That conversation was the beginning of not only their working relationship, but a friendship. And 13 years later, Joyner helped lead his Tampa campaign office when Jackson ran for president in 1984 and 1988. Is there a memory that stands out to you the most?
The Democratic Convention in 1988, when he made that just profound, wonderful, galvanizing speech.
Use some of that money for long-term health care.
I left there all fired up, even though he did not become the nominee for the party. This was the first time a black person had come that close to becoming the nominee for a major political party.
While Joyner fought for equality across Tampa and Florida, it was Jackson's national and international efforts that encouraged her.
Jesse never backed down from a fight in the struggle for equality. His whole life, his purpose of being here was to fight for the underdog. Every time you might feel, well, I'm tired, you know that Jesse would say, Joyner, the fight never ends, and you have to stay in it if you want to make change.
And while the country may have lost a key figure, Joyner says every generation has a leader, and she hopes his death inspires the next one.
I think that Jesse's death will reignite and re-energize people to continue the struggle, the fight that he has endured for all of his life. His death is an inspiration.
His death is an inspiration. We're going to talk more about that. We are so honored to have the Bishop Thomas Scott with us this morning on Rooted in Progress. How you doing today?
I'm doing great, and thanks for the invite.
Yeah. Welcome back.
Yes,
Bishop
welcome
Scott.
back. You're not new to this. You're true to this. Okay. For those who do not know, Bishop Scott is the pastor of 34th Street Church of God and has been for a while. We're going to talk about Reverend Jackson. Your church, because it happened twice, 2 years in a row. But when you hear what former Senator Joyner just said, what are your thoughts when you're hearing how she hopes his death serves as an inspiration?
Yeah, well, Senator Joyner, as you know, has a legacy in her own right.
Correct.
I mean, she's been out on the forefront and has been very involved. So her words carry a lot of weight, her statement, and hopefully the life and the death of Reverend Jackson will inspire other younger persons to move to the forefront and to be involved and move forward, not only in the political arena, but also in the civil rights period and fight for what is justice for all Americans.
Yeah, after the interview, I literally came to Terrence's office for us to work on that Black History Month special. And I told him during that interview, and I'm talking with Ms. Joyner, and she's like, yeah, we can't get tired. And I'm over here thinking like, I'm tired. But she's right?
Yes.
Like we can't, because there's still work to be done. Even before his diagnosis with Parkinson's, even during his diagnosis with Parkinson's, he was on the bridge in his wheelchair, still in that for civil rights. And so for you as someone who witnessed, you grew up watching Reverend Jackson. What's a memory that stands out to you?
One of the things I remember about Reverend Jackson is his whole idea about hope. You know, keep hope alive.
Keep hope alive. That was the saying.
I am somebody. I may be poor, but I am somebody.
Yeah.
I may be on welfare. I am somebody. Black, white, brown. I am somebody. I will not be disrespected. That's what I remember about Reverend Jackson. Out on the forefront, no matter where he spoke, gave a speech, he's going to end with I am somebody and keep hope alive. So I always remember. Even when he came to our church in 2011, you know, he was very inspirational, very inspiring. And during that time, we had probably over 600 people that turned out for that event. He spoke. I'll never forget it. And we were all excited. A lot of people there took pictures.
Of course.
Took everybody. In fact, since his death, I think everybody went and found a picture of Reverend Jackson that they took, put it out there on Facebook. But he in his own right, is a legacy, a giant, and an icon.
Yes,
absolutely.
And those are strong words, a giant and an icon. But Bishop Scott, let's just talk about like just the interaction. Like, how did you get the Reverend Jesse Jackson to come visit your church? You know,
well, actually, I got a call. I don't know who called. Someone called me, but also at that time, see, I was involved politically. I was on city council at that time, and so they called me and said, "Hey, Reverend Jackson's coming to town. We bring him to town. We'd like for him to come to your church." So I said, "Oh, we'd be delighted." So we hosted him. In fact, we first
that was the 2011 trip.
Right, that's the 2011 trip, and that's when we had a luncheon for all of the ministers. We invited all the pastors to come. And we had a luncheon in the fellowship hall. And then after the luncheon at 2 o'clock, we had a 2 o'clock, like a service, speaking engagement for him to dress all of the people who attended that event. So it was great. It was a very exciting time. A lot of people turned out. I can remember so well. Senator Joyner was there. Chloe Coney was there. The late Otis Anthony was there. I mean, I just can remember a whole host of people just being there in that environment.
Wow. Do you remember what stood out about his speech? I know I read and did some research. I wasn't there in attendance and here yet in Tampa, but that he was there pushing for equality or pushing for the rights and voting rights, right? And election rights and things of that nature. So how did that go, and what was his overall charge to the people of Tampa Bay?
Well, one, registering people to vote. Second, not only register but to vote. You got to vote, and then also recognize that your vote matter, your vote count is important. That we get out and vote because it has implications, it have an impact. And so I remember that well. He spoke in our pulpit from behind my sacred desk, as I would call it, and it was just inspiring just to see the people, to meet him, and to have him there. And the energy. Now, you know, I remember we ran Reverend Jackson, who is a tremendous speaker. You know, and of course, you know, he came up under Martin Luther King, Dr. King, and all those guys. I remember very well. Andy Young, Jesse Jackson, you know, Shuttlesworth. All those were the inner circle of Dr. King, and then later, as you know, Reverend Jackson moved to the forefront after the death of Dr. King.
Yeah. It's one of those where people who don't know, I feel like everybody does know about Jesse Jackson.
Yes.
If you don't, hopefully you're like 10 years old and younger, right? But now learning about who he is, it's remarkable to think about what he did for our country, but think about what he did internationally. A lot of people might and often forget how pivotal of a role he played in international relationships. And even during my interview with Senator Joyner, she brought to my remembrance that he went overseas to literally get someone out of jail, and he was the only person that was able to do it. President wasn't able to do it. No congressman was able to do it. Nobody else is able to do it but Reverend Jesse Jackson. And it's one of those things where you think back to the how he could just galvanize a group, and people would literally just follow. What a leader he actually was. So a great man. I know we're going to take a quick break right now, but when we come back, I do want to talk about his second visit at your church. All right, come on back into the Rooted in Progress Stream Center, where we are live right now with Bishop Thomas Scott talking about the life and legacy of Reverend Jesse Jackson. In fact, remembering the last couple of times, because based on my research, I think 2012 was the last time Reverend Jackson was here in Tampa Bay. And it was at your church.
Well, he actually came through, that's during the Trayvon Martin incident. He was in Sanford and then came down through Tampa. And he also sent later Bishop Grant, who was one of his members in his inner circle, also to follow up with that visit at our church, and also to continue to work in the area to how we can help bring about change and make a difference.
Wow.
Well, I tell you, let's go back. We talked about his campaign in 84 and 88. Just what did that mean for you when you were able to see? Because one of the most iconic memories I have of Reverend Jesse Jackson was during the inauguration of President Barack Obama. He was just standing there in tears because of just the path that he had helped pave for that moment. Talk about that. When you remember, or where were you at when he announced that, and what did that mean for you as a young black man?
Jesse Jackson paved the way for a lot of people of color, African American. I mean, that's no doubt about that.
Right.
When you look back in the 84, when I came to Tampa in 1980, there were no elected black officials in the city of Tampa other than on the school board, A. Leon Laurie. That was it. Okay.
Wow.
And so Jesse Jackson inspired a lot of young people because of his involvement in the political area and civil rights to get involved in politics. One of the reasons I got involved, was because of that inspiration of Reverend Jackson when I ran in 1992, then 1996. So Reverend Jackson's involvement in the political area had a major impact for people of color around the nation.
Yeah.
And so he will always have a place in history
Yeah.
Because of the impact that he made in America among people of color, and not just people of color, but he has had an impact to form the Operation Push, work for people who were poor, in poverty, and from a human rights standpoint, and make such an impact and made a difference. And so his place in history is reserved for him.
Was there ever a one-on-one? I'm sorry, Dan. Was there ever a one-on-one that you were able to sit down with him, away from the camera, away from the congregation, that you might have just had a conversation? I think, to me, if I was able to sit down with him, I probably would talk about just the events and the moments he was able to spend time with Dr. Martin Luther King. And how was that?
Well, when Reverend Jackson came to town, number one, he's not alone. You're going to always have a lot of people around him.
Yeah.
And even in my office, I had all these other clergy.
Yeah.
Everybody wanted to be around Reverend Jackson. Everybody wanted to touch Reverend Jackson. And so most of the time, even in my office, there was at least 10 or 12 other ministers that were there. And he just talked and shared about how important it was to be engaged and how to keep up the fight. And, it just was very encouraging. Always positive. Always inspiring hope. There's a better future. There's a better tomorrow. Just got to keep fighting.
Yeah, that's right.
I would love to compare, because I can't, the election for President Barack Obama to Reverend Jackson running. So when you lived through the fact that you saw a Reverend Jackson running for president twice, right, and it not happening, is there some kind of trauma that came in 06, 07 leading up to 08 and the election of President Obama? Did you feel like you were kind of reliving history and second guessing whether or not is our country actually ready? What was that like for you to have experienced and lived through both of those?
Well, Jackson paved the way for any candidate that came after him. He paved in 84 and 88. The country was not ready in 84 and 88.
Yeah.
It was not ready. In 2008, the country was ready.
Yeah.
The demographics had shifted and changed, and President Obama had, I would say, everything that was needed in terms of being a candidate for America.
Yeah.
Okay? He'd been in law school, Harvard graduate, and all of that, and he's well prepared. U.S. Senator. From Chicago, from Illinois. And so he was well prepared for his assignment. I will also say this. I'm a firm believer that there's a season for everything. Jackson's season was up until he transitioned and passed away the other day. He had a major impact.
Yeah.
And his season ended, but he was able to pass off his legacy now to a new generation that should pick up the baton and begin to move forward and work hard to make sure that we continue to fight for civil rights, equality, justice for every citizen in the United States of America.
I wanna bring this up because it's kind of, I feel like, a hot topic. Me and my friend went back and forth about this just last night. And all of our folks who are live right now, feel free to comment and let me know your thoughts. I do want to say shout out to Paulette. She said, I was there, Bishop Scott. We had a meeting in your conference room. I'm assuming that was either in 11 or 2012 when Reverend Jackson was here. But who's up next?
Well, and if you think about it real quick, Deanne, it was almost 20 years to the day that when Barack Obama won election of the president to when Jesse Jackson announced his last presidential campaign. So you got to take that in consideration, that it's not a sprint, it's a marathon.
Right.
So to your point, Deanne, what's next? Who's next?
Right.
You know, who's going to continue to carry that baton?
Y'all gonna drop some names? Do y'all know?
I would say the next person probably is going to be the governor of Maryland.
Who is that?
Moore.
So Senator Joyner said Maxwell Frost. My friend who we went back and forth with, I went back and forth with him last night about this. He said Jasmine Crockett. And so what I thought was, is our country ready for a woman to be in a role like a Reverend Jesse Jackson or a Dr. Martin Luther King or a Reverend Al Sharpton? Are we ready for that leader, that mover, that shaker, to be a Black woman nationally, on a national level? Are we ready?
It's going to take a strong party behind whoever that person is. And you think about where times were then in the mid 80s, even leading decades before that, to where they are now. Has time changed? Have things changed? Or is history starting to repeat itself?
That's sticky.
Yeah, it's a sticky conversation.
But back to what you were saying, you can't leave out Kamala Harris, though. See,
you are right.
Harris made a major impact again. The first African American female to hold a nomination for a major Democratic Party.
Yes, you're right. It was a step.
Yes.
Yeah, a big step.
But we saw what happened.
Well, and to answer your question, is the country ready for a female president? Or, man, I still think we're years away from that.
Yeah.
But I can say that, again, like I just said, it's going to take some strong support.
Yeah.
A collective group to get together and rally. Jasmine Crockett, Wes Moore,
right.
Cory Booker, whoever it could be down the line. The bottom line is it got to start in your local election. It has to start with your local communities before you start building it up from a national, if even a global level.
Okay.
Let me also say that the potential for electing a African American female to the White House, the women, largely women, control that voting population. Okay, if the women turn out to vote and say it's time,
it's possible.
It's possible.
Yeah.
There are more women voters.
And that's just a fact. That's just a fact. We're gonna take a quick break because I want to continue this conversation. Hold on. We're gonna be right back.
We're not on.
Oh, yes. We are back. Rooted in Progress. On this Thursday or whatever day it might be that you are listening and tuning in. You okay over there, Terrence?
Yeah,
what's going on, friend?
Always
It's a lot.
something going on.
Sound like there's a lot going on.
Changing
Clicking
the oil
and
in
snapping
these machines
and
over here. Yeah.
we have the Bishop Thomas Scott with us of 34th Street Church of God, one of the last places that Reverend Jesse Jackson visited here in the Tampa Bay area, both in 2011 and in 2012. We're continuing our conversation on how do we continue carrying the legacy of Reverend Jackson. Who's up next? Who will actually take the helm and grab it by the arms and say, I got this. I got y'all.
Let's go.
I got us, right? So part of my conversation last night with my friend was, does this generation even have the capability to galvanize in the way that we did back in the day?
I think back in the day, before you dive into that, I think back in the day, the effects was felt throughout every Black community, every Black family. I think things are different today. I don't think that everyone feels that effect today. I could just turn the TV off. I don't have to get, because I can go back to my really nice suburban neighborhood and don't have to deal with it, close my front door and live my life. Back then, probably when you were growing up, Bishop, you couldn't go to that grocery store. You couldn't go to that restaurant.
Yeah.
So it affected more people than it did today.
Yeah, in my time, you have to realize that I came during the segregated time where I went to the elementary school I went to was all Black. And then from Macon, Georgia, by the way.
Okay.
And so then in 1967, 68, we were forced to integrate, and I went to the Lanier All School for Boys. We integrated that. But you're right, during that time, there was, I remember very well, color, restrooms and, laundromats and all that sort of things. You had to go to the back of the door if you go into a restaurant or something like that, all those things during that time. So it was the civil rights movement that really galvanized a lot of people, and watching water hose being sprayed on people of color, dogs being sick on them, that moved America to move towards changing. And then signing of the Civil Rights Bill and all that, the Voting Rights Bill and so forth. So that had a lot of it. One of the differences now, I would say, Ms. King, is that the generation that's now don't understand that history.
That's it.
And have not lived that history.
They haven't lived it or experienced it. They don't see stuff like that. Now, I think, my opinion, George Floyd woke us up. You know what I mean? That was something that this generation had never witnessed before in their lives, right? So people like you could be like, wow, George, what terrible, right? Awful, especially in this day and age. We thought we've made progress, but we thought we're here. And it actually probably was like traumatic, right? Because it brought you back to the things that you grew up witnessing. But the conversation that I was having was like, this generation here is, man, I'm minding my business, and I ain't got nothing to do with it, right? And it's
exactly
kind of like we
said.
sit back and we wait for something to happen.
Right.
So that's why I think this conversation of progress and who's up next is pivotal, because hopefully it will make people start to change their way of thinking. Hopefully it will make them look at themselves and ask that question, what am I doing? What will I do? How am I going to do it? Right? Because somebody's got to. And then if you really want to take it there, because I know we only got a couple minutes. I know there's some people talking about some real wild west stuff in this live right now. But black folks aren't the only ones under attack. Hispanics, come on.
That's true.
Gay, lesbian, transgender, come on.
That's true.
Hello?
Yes.
Look at what's happening over in Iran. Look at what's happening with Hamas. Look at it. Ain't just us.
Right.
So who's going to be that person who, it might not just be an African-American issue, but who's going to be that person who's fighting for the rights and the equality for every prevalent issue?
My vote, Deanne
now.
King.
Every.
Look, I'm part of that generation. Nah, this ain't my business. No, I'm playing.
No. Yeah,
I'm playing. I'm doing my small part. I think we all do our small part. A part of that conversation I had last night was like, I look at the small things that we go through on a daily basis, just working here and doing what we do on a daily. And I believe this is what God ordained me to be doing. It might, not be the biggest thing or the largest thing. It might not be Reverend Jackson. But it's Deanne King's way of trying to leave a mark and make a difference on our community.
That's true.
Well, and that's one thing I can say about, a WFLA allowing this platform right here for Deanne and I to do this and
kudos
and bring homage to
kudos
Thank
to you all for that.
To the black and brown community and all communities at that. So, Yeah,
and you too, Bishop Scott.
Absolutely.
Don't sit over here and act like you ain't no mover and shake over here too.
Yeah, but seeing the younger generation step up to the plate means tremendous a lot to us older people.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
We appreciate you paving the way, coming in and chatting with us. For folks who don't know anything about 34th Street Church of God, how can they follow you? How can they attend? What's all the details?
Oh yeah, well, we're on Facebook, we're on YouTube.
You on that TikTok or no?
Yeah, I'm not on there, but my son's.
There you go.
34th Street Church of God here in Tampa, a staple in the area. Bishop Scott, we appreciate you hanging with us today.
Thank you for the invite.
And all of your insight as we honor the life and legacy of Reverend Jesse Jackson. So we are live every Thursday. We're not done doing what we need to do, okay? We not tired.
We might take a little break here and there, but trust me, guys, we're going to be here as long as they let us.
Absolutely. Well, again, make sure you follow us, like us, subscribe. We are on YouTube. We're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Rooted in Progress live every Thursday at 9:30 in the morning. Please, if you don't do anything today, ask yourself, what are you doing to make a difference? Stay rooted.
Stay rooted, folks.